Jordan, and we're going to wake up one day and the markets are going to be down limit. Gold and silver are going to be flying, crypto is going to be flying, and people are going to be like, what happened? Because the opaque nature of, the Federal Reserve and the elites out there are going to cause another crisis to happen. I think Trump's going to load his loyalists in there, and I think you'll see some whistleblowers coming out of the Federal Reserve.
Crazy things going on with the Fed and with China and the economy. And with alternative currencies looking to capitalize on these changes, I wanted to discuss these things with Bob Kudla of Trade Genius Academy. Take a look. With your expertise in the markets and tracking all the alternative currencies, I want your expertise in what's been going on lately with the Federal Reserve and China. And first, let's start off with the Fed. What's happening there?
The Federal Reserve, I think, they tried to play this game like everything was fine and we're going to do quantitative tightening. And they basically made the dollar become a shortage around the world. And all of a sudden, about 2 weeks ago, they did a 180 and they pumped nearly $1 trillion of what they call repos into the market. What a repo is that they went ahead and they created cash, and people delivered their collateral back to the Federal Reserve. And they did more in 3 weeks than they did all in 2008, Jordan. So problem is that there's so much debt out there now, the banks can't absorb it all anymore. And plus the rumor around the street is that either a big German bank or a big Chinese bank, when I mean Chinese Hong Kong banks in trouble, like HSBC or Deutsche Bank, and we may never see this money back again. That's what I'm reading today, is that they said a chunk of the money may never come back. And that's what we call quantitative easing, in disguise. And today Powell got on and started talking about, we're going to be buying more short-term bonds. That means they're basically losing control of the entire treasury market. And because they tried to, in my view, I think they tried to screw with Trump, and it blew up in their face. And now they're backpedaling like crazy. And now people are going to start worrying about the banking systems. And is it China? Is it Germany? Is it Italian bank? There's a bank out there that's in deep weed, Jordan. And we're going to wake up one day and the markets are going to be down limit. Gold and silver are going to be flying. Crypto is going to be flying. And people are going to be like, what happened? Because the opaque nature of, the Federal Reserve and the elites out there are going to cause another crisis to happen.
Yeah, and I want to talk about what the elites could do. You bring up President Trump, and we're about a year out from the next election. What could they do with the Federal Reserve to strike back?
Yeah, I think they tried it, and it blew up in their face. I think they were, you notice they didn't ease at all during Obama's entire presidency. I think they did
very favorable to him.
Very favorable. And as soon as Trump took office, they started raising interest rates. And at the same time, they started pulling back the balance sheet.
Yeah, and they've done so much already. Is there anything you see they could do over the next year?
Not without being overtly political. I think now they're trying to survive because Trump has them. See, Trump was really smart, Jordan. Bush never said a word, and he got his butt handed to them. Trump immediately started saying, I'm pinning this on you. And so now it's all on the Fed. So, is Trump sitting there going, hey, I'm not the one not lowering interest rates. I'm not the one that's not supporting manufacturing.
He's not afraid to tweet about them.
Yeah, exactly. And you know what, though? Judy Shelton is one of his picks for the Federal Reserve, and she's a gold nut. So, and I mean that in the most positive way because I'm one too. So, hard currency, and
right.
And I think that's where we're going to go. I think one day they're going to wake up. Fiat around the world is imploding everywhere, Jordan, and they may just reprice. We wake up one day and they reprice gold up from $1,500 to $85,000. I mean, they're going to monetize the whole debt away with a $1 trillion gold coin. And I'm being a bit dramatic here, but that's what they're going to have to do. They're going to have to remonetize the debt, and they're going to use the price of gold to do it. And that's what's going to happen. Look, central banks have been buying gold for the last 10 years while they've been suppressing it for the common people. Look at JP Morgan owns 54 million ounces of
Yeah,
silver.
all these central banks are trying to buy up precious metals as much as they can right now. And what about
Exactly.
other currencies away from precious metals, but like crypto? And is there anything else out there that we can use to protect ourselves?
Yeah. So, I mean, look, here's the thing. So you to get out of the banking system, cryptocurrency is really the only currency that has a liability to a bank. Okay. So Bitcoin et al. Is going to be the currency of choice, what I think, for international trade. And then internally, people are going to have to own, income producing assets that are not debt entitled. So that means, if you own gold, you own silver, you own platinum, you own palladium, you have income producing farm property, things of that nature is where we're going to go until they come up with a new currency regime. And those are the areas in which we're focusing on. And then you throw the grand solar minimum on top of this, Jordan. I don't know how much you guys talk about that, but price of food is going to go through the roof. The United States will be okay, but there's going to be places around the world that are tied to the dollar and they can't feed their people. That's what the Arab Spring was all about in 2011. We're going to see that in spades. And we think China is going to be the one that's really going to get hit because their pig population, they may have to kill 100% of their pigs. And now that thing's starting to drift into Europe, Jordan. And so when that happens, it's Katie bar the door. And if your currency is bad, which China's is, that doesn't trade, and you need food, and the only place you're going to get it is the people you're screwing with, which is the United States right now, it's not a really tenable position for them. So
yeah, when you bring up that grand solar minimum, that actually dives into a lot of very important issues like these changes we see going on with things like, i.e., our climate. There's a lot of greater causes for that and greater changes that are coming up that we need to prepare for. So you bring, food shortage is something absolutely important to think about when we're talking about world economies.
better learn how to grow food. And
Yeah, seriously.
and I'm not being dramatic on. I mean, just read the paper today. The wheat crop, if they don't get it out of the ground by Thursday, North Dakota, South Dakota, the wheat crop's gone. And so Canada, it's gone. We're going to get a foot of snow in the plains in October. And that's worldwide. I mean, Chile and Argentina and Australia have been getting hammered. Russia and Ukraine have been really backing the surpluses, and their crops aren't doing as well this year either. So you add all that into it, and the reason why I talk about that in the Federal Reserve is you can't ease into a food shortage, okay? Because people, their currencies, they won't be able to buy it, and the same with energy. And so, we're at some really interesting tipping points, and they're going to protect the banks at all costs. That means that they take every penny out of your pocket, and it's happening in India right now, Jordan, is that there's some Indian banks are closing and people's money's in there. They said people are crying, their whole life savings in a bank, and the bank just closes, and that's what's going to happen around the world as this thing starts to really unfold. And I'm an optimistic guy, but we just don't know what we don't know.
Yeah, you hope for the best and you plan for the worst, and it's just a good idea to have some sort of physical something on hand that you can turn to when you need it, or a way like cryptocurrency to move your money fast if you need to and get it out and move it around.
Money. Look, the people in Venezuela, if you had $1,000 in Venezuelan bolivars and you bought crypto with it, guess what? You still have that buying power where the person holding the bolivars is now worth $1 million less, a millionth of a percent less. You can't even buy anything with it. So you need to have something that's not going to be affected by the banking system. And there's only two things that are not liability related. It's cryptocurrency and it's physical gold and silver. And I add the miners to that because that's an income producing property against an asset that's going to be in big demand. And in the Great Depression, the miners were the only things that really went up a lot in value. And I think they're going to reprice these metals, Jordan, and people that are in those. And that's why we trade them. And that's why we trade what we trade, Jordan, because we know these things are going to go up. You don't have to be a trade genius to know that. You just that people aren't doing it. And the people that are profiting already. We're in the third inning of this process. It's not the beginning anymore. And these next 3 innings are going to be the most pivotal ones. What we've been doing is that we think the stock market's overvalued. The political risks are starting to pile up. So we've been shorting the market, and we could show people how to do that as a retail trader, how you can do that with exchange traded funds, so you don't have to do anything fancy, and also using puts and calls for options if that's your preference. And then we just been buying the miners on the dips, and cryptocurrencies that we're doing the same thing, and we trading out either directly with Bitcoin, or we're stacking Bitcoin altcoin. And I just I just saw a chat message come over. One of our subscribers grew her Bitcoin stack 10% in 3 days, just following some of our Bitcoin to altcoin trades. So that's the kind of money we can help people make.
Cool, man.
And that's in 3 days. And so we do that pretty consistently. And, we definitely are helping people get on the right side of what I think is going to be a pretty rocky, couple months or a couple years out. There's a bull market somewhere, Jordan, and we're going to help people find it and profit from it. And, not just for their own sake, but, you're going to have to be prepared to help your fellow family member or friends. And you can't help them if you're just as poor as they are. Also, if people are interested in what we do, if they just go to tradelikeagenius.com and check out the specials we put together for your listeners, Jordan. They could trade cryptos with us or stocks with us. And we put together some really nice specials for your listeners so that they can take advantage of what we do at a very reasonable price and learn to make money nearly every day in the markets like we do. So I really appreciate you having me on.